On a couple of our jobs right now, we've spent a couple of months in the ground getting the foundations up, getting a flat platform before you can even start your normal building process. There's no two ways about it. Everything you do on a sloping site is harder than if it's on the flat. Walking your materials from A to B, doing your measurements, setting out. Like here's a clip of me putting together profiles on the section nobody wanted. They're higher up in the air, one dude on a profile 3 meters in the end here, and then you're stringing over here, and then everything you're doing is like, hey, pass me this, grab that. It's definitely a trickier job. Getting cuts, earthworks, retaining walls, there's so much more you've got to do, so much more you've got to account for. The reality is that chews up time, they chews up money. For example, on our lower hut rear lot, we can't even drive onto the building platform. We've got to get all our materials craned up or walked up, and then we've got to walk up 3 flights of scaffold to get to the top layer. Now that takes time, and that takes energy. Normally on a sloping site, you've also got a tight, limited space. You're building in the back corner over there, you go up, you take a measurement, you work it out, you come down to your cut zone, you cut, you then take it back up, check it, put it up. Now, ideally it's right first pop and you nail it off and it's good to go. What if you then need to make an adjustment? What if you're doing something like cutting around a window flashing where it requires multiple cuts and multiple measurements? And we encourage our builders that if it's not right, you do it again. But that requires walking up and down the scaffold, up and down multiple times during the day. That takes time, that takes effort. That means that your sloping site is going to take sometimes twice as long as what we could do on the flat with space. I think it's obvious to point out that sloping sites will require more in the groundwork. So you got your slope, and whether you're doing cut where you create benches and you cut into the hill, or whether you're doing retaining walls where you fill flat areas, either way is going to require earthworks, it's going to require time, it's going to require materials, it's most likely going to require engineers' design, and all of those things basically just add cost. Again, it doesn't mean we can't do them and that we shouldn't do them, it's just you've got to factor them into your process. Yeah, it's good to be aware of this stuff. If you have a sloping site, don't expect the square meter rate to be the same as a flat site. And it's really hard to give you that comparison. It's important to know, even building a 2-story build going up, say we're doing 200 square meters going up, that is more expensive than building 200 square meters on the flat going out. Everything at that second layer costs more. I would say it adds anywhere between 10 and 20% to a build. And then you've got to add the slope factor. Again, it could add another 10% minimum base cost to a normal build just to get your retaining walls in, get your site cuts and get established. As soon as it rains on a sloping site and you're cutting into bare dirt or your earthworks, it just becomes like a mudslide. It becomes like a slip and slide show, and you're slipping around. You just spend so much more energy and time getting from A to B constantly. It just sucks up more of you to get the same job done. I'm not saying it's not rewarding, I'm not saying it's not worth it. The reality is, building in the Wellington region, we're gonna be building on sloping sites. So it's about learning ways to tackle that. So I hope this video hasn't discouraged you from your sloping site, but has given you a little bit more of a reality check and some facts. There is a time and a place to build on a sloping site, and if you've got one that you're considering, I would encourage you to tackle it. It could be the most rewarding thing you do. Boom, that's it. Off for Smoko.